Hey everybody, welcome back to Reaper Pro-Tips with me, your host, Anne, and the disembodied hands, Quindy, Justin, John, and whoever else wants to stick their fingers in. How are you? And happy morning. It's happy Thursday. Oof. It's almost the end of the week. Hi, Quindy. I always have disembodied hands, Quindy. I feel special. Hey everybody. So we have quite a few people watching Fulfillment, I'm assuming. Rather than stare at my face, you guys probably want to stare at the Wyvern. Let's do this. Yay! Stale peeps. No, not the stale peeps. Morning. So we're going to do Wyvern's face today. I'm sick of staring at his noggin and not having any face on him. And David would taunt me because he has no eyes. You know, like I do. Although I started something last night, guys. I've been waiting to start since my birthday. Let me grab Wyvern. Wyvern colors. Need Wyvern colors first. That, Kraken ink, Assyrian sand. I think that's pretty much what we got. Oh, and Wolf Gray. That's right. At this point, I have Kraken memorized. You really hate peeps? Has Ed told you guys the peeps story? I shouldn't. That's Reaper's dark history. We'll let Ed. Ed can keep those stories. He was there. But so I started a new project. Yes, he just hasn't been faced actually. He's faceless. He's the faceless Wyvern. But I started a new project yesterday. You guys get to peek at it first, okay? Okay. Shh. Oh, she doesn't want to be in focus. Well, I need to focus for Wyvern anyway. There we go. There. Started my knoll. So she's getting there. I got some time last night. I've been trying to be good and do what I always tell you guys to do, which is to make a set time in your schedule where you sit down to paint. So for me, that time is like right after my evening walk. I get my water and sit down to paint, even if it's only for 20 minutes. And in that way, things get done 20 minutes at a time. So, yeah, I love Knowles, and she's so pretty. So she was super fun. Her face is being super fun to paint. So, all right. And now Wyvern is in focus. So we have achieved 2 things. Excellent. Let's make a mix for his mouth. As I like to do once I'm working with a certain palette, if I can, if I need an additional color, I'll try to mix it from the colors I already have. So essentially we'll create a mouth color for Wyvern by adding our Osirian sand to our mahogany brown. We'll see how that looks. I'll just jump in, Safaroko. Paint it like you would paint anything. But then remember, you can do more fun things. Like you can do like better, cooler eyes. You can put the colored iris in, you can put in like cool textures, like her fur texture, I love doing fur. Like fur is my favorite. So yeah, it was Karoo. I had somebody else print it for me. It's the only White Wolf Tavern, or White Werewolf Tavern I have. Everywhere, Safaroko. Everywhere. Depends on what you want to paint. If you want a monster bust, White Werewolf Tavern has, you can get those printed out on Etsy. But they have that knoll, and they've got a werewolf queen, which I also want, but don't have yet. Let's mix our pink for the mouth here. I'm going to do 2 drops of the mahogany brown, and then I'm going to add 2 drops of our Osirian sand. Yeah, there's like so many places, Safaroko. Okay, so the things that depend on the things that you should look at with busts. There's huge pricing differences depending on size and who's putting it out. So it can be anywhere from 20 up to $60, depending on how big the bust is and where you're getting it from, and if it's resin or 3D printed. If you have a 3D resin printer, they're, like I said, White Werewolf and some others are doing great bust stuff. I like the Knoll. She's just I love werewolves, and I was going to get the werewolf queen, but the Knoll looked like she had more personality. I hate to say it, but she does. So I think I'll, Yeah, FER does really nice busts and smaller. Many of them are historical. They do have some fantasy as well. So you could check out FER, and they aren't too expensive. Let's see here. Reaper, of course, is coming out with its busts, and many of you are getting them shipped to you in the new Kickstarter. Hopefully, if these busts sell well, maybe Ed will do more. We'll let Ron do more busts. So this red, this mahogany brown is a very, very highly pigmented color. So the Osirian sand is really having to fight it to go pink on it. Ignis Art does, but they are really, really expensive. And that has kept me from buying more of them. Ignis Art. They're from Poland, I think. So we'll see if we can get this pink to look okay, and if it doesn't, I'll just grab some red and add a little bit more saturation to it. Yeah, that's where I typically go, just to Etsy and look. Well, it depends, Inara. If we want more busts from Reaper, the only way to get them is to buy the ones we have. Because until Ed sees how these work, how these run, you know, he's not going to tell Ron, yeah, do more busts, probably. So, get my glasses on. But that said, I would say that, like Julie's, of the Reaper busts, the Ranger in the Hood and the smaller bust with just the face and the hair, those are both good learning busts, I would say, what we call academic busts. Actually, if you really want to look around and you want to practice it, looking for something called an academic bust is a good start. There are many companies that do them, and what they typically are is just the face and the hair and some simple clothing. The Nocturna bust, the female one, the female elf, is a really good... They don't call it an academic bust, but she's simple enough that she is one, essentially. And she's not too expensive, but you want something simple to start with, typically, when you start on busts, so you can get into your comfort zone on it. But Julie's smaller one in the Kickstarter, the one that was a Kickstarter ReaperCon exclusive at first, she is a nice size to start with because she's not too much bigger than, say, a Frost Giant Queen. So you don't step as far out of your comfort zone. Yeah, starter busts, exactly. Yeah, what Julie says. And those are just really, like I said, they're simple. They'll get you in. They aren't. At least the female one isn't too much bigger than, say, a giantess. So if you're scared of busts but you want to start, look for a smaller bust, and you're gonna find it's not too much different from what you've been doing. And what you should do then is, like, when you pick up one of those Julie busts, is paint it like you would normally paint it, but then really look at it when you're getting toward the end and see how much, like, extra little things you might have room to do. Because that's what busts are really awesome for, is that they allow you to do things like more texture and you know, better eyes and, you know, more little details because you've got the room to do them. I'm just going to paint over some of these teeth, like I totally painted over the little bit on his mouth there. Little I forget what the lower, they're not canines, but you know, the lower incisors. These. But I'm totally going to paint over it because I want to get the gums, and you can't really get the gums without getting the teeth. And the gums and the tongue are typically the same color. So we'll do this first. And I'll kind of assess whether I like this color for the gums. I kind of do, so. Fang is a word, but it's not a technical term. But you know what I mean. The teeth, the lower teeth in the front, the Sharpies, the Sharpie ones. Teeths. Now, the top part here, you really can't see the gums. There's just the teeth. So we'll leave that, but we can see gums right back here. Well, you know, is it upper and lower canines, though? Do you know, Grey Wolf? Yeah, that's a good idea to use it for Dragon's Class, Lord Dave, because, you know, it is essentially a dragon in miniature with just a couple extra, you know, less extra limbs. It's got all the components that you would need to paint a dragon, so you know, can talk about your scales, and you can talk about, you know, the face, although you don't have as much room for the eyes. That's the only downside, I think, is that the eyes are so small that you can't really do like a good reptilian eye on them. There's not enough room. That's the only downside. Otherwise, I think this model's fantastic for a painting Dragon's Class. You can cover anything else. So we'll get these gums blocked in. Kind of make sure that I've got everything. It's a good color. I think this is actually better than Temple Dragon for this purpose. I think it's closer to being a miniaturized version of some of the bigger dragons that Julie does, as far as, I guess they both have similar scales, but I don't know. I like this one maybe a little bit better. I think you've got a good choice. Dog dental anatomy. Yes, okay, and dogs, both dental sets are called canines. It's just upper and lower. All right. All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, Temple Dragon is a little smaller, but in that case, that's why that's one of the reasons I think this is actually a little bit better for a dragon class. Got to give them enough of a taste of painting a larger model that they understand what they're getting into. Open wide, Wyvern. Open wide. Now, we can take some of our darker red that we built this pink on, our mahogany brown, which is very, very red. And we could put kind of traces of it back in the throat to darken down the area back there. And then take more of our pink and kind of blend that in a little bit. Doing the upper part of the mouth a little bit darker is not a bad idea because it normally would be in shadow. So you can see a little darker red there. Well, as far as gluing goes, Karoo, plastic's always going to beat metal as far as ease because the plastic is just going to bond a lot better. It's not going to have all that weight. And now there may be more, you may have to do more work. The thing that metal beats a lot of plastic on, unless you're talking like styrene, is that the joins are usually a little bit better. Like you don't have to do as much putty work. Sometimes in plastic, the putty work can be... Like, I had to do green stuff to hide the leg joins down here, for example. So it's like metal is better at some things, plastic is better at others, and all of this may change over time as the manufacturers of both figure out how to address, you know, and make better their products. So, like, normally Reaper's joins in metal are really cleverly done these days, but sometimes you still have... In plastic, you might have had somebody else cut up the model and not the sculptor, so you may get into that. So, yay, tracking number, Tanik? Jenan? Whatever your name is. Jen. Yeah, grats. I had my tracking number yesterday, and I'm supposed to get it by, supposed to get my bones 5 by, Saturday. Just about what I wanted. Gin and tonic. Ah, got it. Yeah, sometimes I get those right away and sometimes I don't. And when it looks like an ethnic name, you don't want to totally screw it up because it might make somebody sad. Yes. David and I are coming to ReaperCon, and you should see us teaching. You should see our classes on the list. Let's see here. I think I want to do kind of a half and half mix here with some red mixed into my pink to shade under the tongue there. Yes, we are both coming. We are both teaching. I'll do the award ceremony if I can get away with it so I can mess up all of your names again. Because you know I take great joy in this. And we'd hate to deny me that. Rawr. So that shadow under the tongue helps make helps bring out details a little bit. And when we go in to do some lining around the teeth, it will continue to do so. We're going to shade the other side. So what I'm doing here is I'm just mixing my mahogany brown with a little bit of the pink, kind of making a 50-50 mix of these two for a shadow. You ordered too much stuff and you're in the Kickstarter waiting line? Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. I only remember a couple of the things that I ordered, and I'm not certain what else I ordered, so I'm like, if I ordered anything else, I'll be surprised. It'll be a pleasant surprise. So I pretty much just fire and forget. Like, I'm just like, this looks good, that looks good, that looks good. All right, done. And I know I changed my order at some point, like I adjusted it a little bit. But I don't remember how I adjusted it or what I decided to get instead. There. So shadow under the tongue helps get those features out while still giving you a pink shadow there. Yeah, David, and it's nice that he did that article after we bugged him incessantly until he did it. But it's nice that David also did the article on how he did the water effects on his mermaid. All right, so now we got to get the other side to look more like this side. So for that, we need wolf gray, because I want to get this neck part done as well. Wolf gray with Kraken ink is part of this kind of grayed out purple color, and then Osirian sand is here, and probably with our orange mixed in just a tiny bit to make it work. So get over here, Mr. Wyvern. Sit, stay. Oh yeah, some of you people went crazy all in. I just went, I know I have too many models, so I just went very, I was conservative this time. All right, let's get a little bit of wolf gray. We get all of our colors out. Cool. Yay, paint. Happy to hear that you got paint. Kraken ink, and I'm going to actually put some wolf gray into our Kraken ink. And maybe a little Osirian sand, because I think it was a mixture of both of those that that gave me that purple on the other side. There. So mixing up colors. We'll move over and down and hopefully not slide him off of the, here, actually I'm going to move my camera back a little bit. There we go. That way I don't have to slide Wyvern off of things. There. So this is Kraken ink plus a drop of Osirian and a drop of wolf gray, which makes a very pretty purple. Kraken ink makes a pretty purple pretty much no matter whatever you mix it with. And then the gray, I think I'm going to put just a little bit of that purple into that. And then that'll give us our starters to get this purple on the other side. You can kind of see how those two might play together to give you this this purple and the gray. And then we'll go back in with the Osirian sand and some orange. I haven't focused on the horns yet. We'll get the horns done today too. But I wanted to get these starter colors all lined up. Yeah, you definitely want the Kickstarter paint set. Yeah. Alrighty. Let's get some of these grays down on our Wyvern. Doop. I'm going to start with my gray that has just a little bit purple in it. You can see that's different from the wolf gray I put down at first. We're going to do this, and we're going to go in and shade with our more Kraken ink. Give us a little bit of dimension here. When you're wet blending, when in doubt, start with your shadow midtone, or a little bit lighter than your midtone. Gives you a little bit more just places to go, I guess. I kind of look at the other side, which is very dark, so I'll probably have to grab some actual Kraken ink. Where are we? There we are. Yeah, the curing times, yep. Yeah, it's challenging to do some of those classes. Alright, let's go and get this guy all figured out. I should probably at this point mix up some walnut as well to line around his mouth. So actually I'll do that real quick. Let me see, where's my walnut? There it is. Yep. Yeah, the cracking thing. Yep. I love that because it used to be a detriment, and then they figured out how to turn it into a feature. Like, it used to be something you never wanted to see in your paint, crackling. And then they're like, hey, some special effects people will want this. And so they marketed it. Oh, is the last container of the War Mammoth? I haven't looked. Since I got my shipping notification, I wasn't curious about what I wasn't missing. So a line around this upper part of the mouth, as you all know we are wont to do. And then we're gonna actually line around these teeth. Or if we're oh, Julie's bus. Oh, they have the War Mammoth. Well, dang it, Julie. How did you manage to get on the last boat? I think I'm just going to block these teeth in. If you don't want to line the teeth, just go and paint them dark. Light colors cover so well over dark when you're using them thicker, so you really won't have a problem. I just tend to paint mine dark. That way they line themselves. Remember to get the other side of the teeth. I've seen so many models that look great from the outside, and then you look inside the mouth and the back of the teeth are pink. Don't do it. Don't let that be you, everybody. Oh, no. No, I normally miss Michael's show because I have my schedule is like I'm usually shooting video or doing something like that during that time. Afternoons are my peak working time for my Patreon, so. And when I'm going to be shooting a video or writing a PDF, I can't be watching, sadly. So I miss a lot of Michael's shows. Unless I make a point. There we go. So we've got our teeths. Blamed He'll pay for that? Oh yeah, Julie. You get him. You know what? I think the crow's nest needs to be renamed, guys. It just needs to be called Under the Bus. I think there are teeth here, so I'm going to paint them in. Sometimes with bones, it's like, are those teeth? But I'm going to guess, and I'm going to say they're teeth. Yes, or the bus stop. Yeah, one or the other. The bus stops here with you under it. I think Under the Bus is a great name, though. The bus stop sounds boring, but Under the Bus is more intriguing and would get people to, like, check it out just to see what it is. Alrighty. So lining the mouth defines that line and makes it, you know, everything is more crisp now. We can see the demarcation between the lips and the gums, and the teeth will stand out a lot nicer. And you can see just the crispness of the line on the mouth, and it just looks a lot better that way. And then when we go back and highlight this pink, everything, and we bring in this teeth, everything else will look great. Now, the other thing I'm going to do, since I made the teeth dark to start with, is I am going to block in these horns. It's time to block in the horns. We'll be bringing them up with Osirian sand in a bone color. The horns here kind of transition into scales. But I want these two nearest the face to be proper horns. I want some, the reason for that is I want some contrast. If I make them a light bone color next to the neck here, it'll help frame the face. One thing I do need to do is bring that cheekbone all the way down, though. Although I kind of like this, having the jawline a little bit lighter on this side, but I don't want to repaint the other side. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Jason and Michael, I can imagine, I've seen them together once. I don't remember which show I watched. But, I mean, they're entertaining even when we're hanging out at artist cons, so, you know. So we're going to take this jaw down like I did on the other side. It's sculpted a lot more. It's delineated on the sculpt a lot more on this side. So this side we got to kind of suggest it just from the example of the other side. So we're creating that line on this side. And I may have taken it off thinking it was a mold line. So either way, I now have to correct myself. And I'll use some liners, some purple, some Kraken ink, some walnut to add that line and shadow. Well, you can thank rather Justin for that. I mean, I'm sorry, blame Justin comes out of my mouth pretty readily, I'm afraid. But if Justin had not fought for the Twitch, we probably wouldn't have it, guys. So big thanks to Reaper Justin on that, as he was instrumental in convincing Ed and Dave to give it a try. And now I think they both really enjoy it and are happy that we did it. I'm sure Ed always intended to, have a digital presence with Reaper, but this way it got done sooner rather than later, and it's a great way for us to engage with our audience. So, alrighty. So now we're ready. Now we're going. Now that both sides are starting to look, blame works there too. Yeah, I think so, Quindy. Justin's like, you and will pay for that later. This is not the Under the Bus show. If you want Under the Bus, this is not it. Even though I'm doing a good imitation. There we go. Get some of our orange out now. We need our orange brown because I need to highlight that cheekbone that I just did. So I'm going to mix that up real quick. And at this point, I probably also want some Assyrian sand. Since I do a lot of wet blending and a lot of tuning and a lot of quick, layering, I want all my colors that I need mixed up at this point. And if any are starting to dry a little bit, like this pink, I'm going to go back and grab a drop of water and just put it in there. Mix it up to make sure that pink stays good. I need to do a highlight for that pink as well. Right, the Under the Bus show. That's what I say it should be renamed, Iffy. They need to heck with this crow's nest thing. They just need to rename it Under the Bus. Let me see here. Oh no. Hitting my camera. It's one of those days. It's just like sliding into the end of this week. Like, what, those weeks when you're kind of a train wreck? Or you feel like you are just because you feel like you haven't been as organized as you need to be all week. Yeah, you feel like you're kind of sliding sideways into the end of the week. Yeah, Crowley, exactly. It's that kind of week. Definitely that kind of week. Let's see here. I still haven't decided what color to make his eyes. They almost have to be green, though, so that they show up. So there's our palette. I'm just going to get some of this. I need to thin that a little bit more. It gets to the point when you're using a well palette where you can kind of look at your paint. You can tell what state it's at. You can kind of tell if it's thickening a little bit, if you see it going a little dull on the surface. You know, these are things that by working with it, you get a better sense for. Thank you for the Kiri face, Val. I've been thinking about Kiri a lot lately. Been missing my Kiri dog. I dreamt about her the other night. Her, Kiri's granddaughter, or great-granddaughter, just had puppies, so Kiri's ghost is officially a great-great-grandma. There are 7 of them, and 2 of them are white, which is a recessive gene in our breed, like with German Shepherds. Just going to add in, I'm mixing a little bit of my walnut with my Assyrian sand. I'm just going to do these little horns with a little bit of a texture. I just start out with streaks, and then make the streaks a little more complicated as I go. Yeah, white Shilohs, especially the long-haired whites, are really gorgeous. Like, just really beautiful dogs. Let me see. Let me see if I have a picture. Because, you know, puppies. Puppies, guys. Puppies. I'll see if I can get you guys a puppy picture real quick. Hold on. Because I always like to brag, right? And I don't have, let's see here. Need to search for... There we are. And let me get you a picture of the puppies. There we go. Let me get... Can I just get the picture? Facebook, you're so dumb. He's got a stupid little, like, face thing over the dog face. But anyway, that's Kiri's great-granddaughter and all of her little puppies. Her great-granddaughter lives in Canada. Yep, tiny little sausage puppies. They're only, I think they were born Sunday. So 4 days old. Yeah, 2 white ones, and then I think the rest are sables of various colors. Their mama is a very, very, very pretty dog. I'm actually... Oh, there she is. So why isn't she... Yeah, for some reason it wants to focus on her face. Trying to find a better picture of Mixel. But my phone is, like, really hating it. Yeah, it's like, no, I don't want you to show the pretty dog. There's Mixel. That's Kiri's great-granddaughter. So she's a beautiful dog, and she lives up in the mountains, as you can tell, in British Columbia. Yeah, so... And we'll see, but maybe I'll get a puppy from her when it comes time to get my Kiri descendant. But I want a smooth coat, because I don't like all that plush, all that fur. Great grand dog tur. Yes, exactly. Sorry, it's a horrible pun, but it's so cute. So yeah, so maybe, so if Christina, her owner, uses her with a smooth coated boy, and so that's the only way you get smooth puppies, because the plush is recessive. So if you keep breeding long-haired Shiloh to long-haired Shiloh, you just get more long hairs. And the smooths aren't as popular, which drives me crazy because I love them. It's just such an easy coat to care for, and it still looks fantastic. As you all know, Kiri was beautiful, so I'm probably the most partial to smoothies in our group. But yeah, so as those puppies grow, I'll keep you guys updated with puppy pictures. How about that? Christina's a really good breeder, so she'll probably be posting a ton of pictures. So as they get, my favorite age is 4 weeks, which is when they can move and they bunny hop all over the place. They're just so adorable because they can move and their legs are strong enough to hold them, but they haven't figured out how to like trot properly yet. They just hop. It's just so cute. They're just adorable. Yeah, so don't worry, you'll get puppy updates. Pup dates, as we call them. Uncreatively. There we go. So I'm just using, just blending a little bit with my wolf gray. Since this gray, since I've thinned it, it's a little transparent. And so that means I can kind of brush it over this purple and tone it down a little bit, make it a little more subtle. Now we're going to go in with our Assyrian sand, though. I'll start blocking in that over the top. Yeah, bunny hopping puppies are adorbs. Yeah, the little tails, Shiloh tails with their when they're babies tend to go straight up, which is not what they end up looking like as adults, but it's the happy puppy tail is what we call it. So they've just got their little tails like up in the air, like wagging like crazy. They're adorable. I mean, I did raise, Kiri had 2 litters, so I have raised 9 puppies in my course of my life, and it was fun. It was a crap ton of work to do right. Like a crap ton of work. Because you constantly are cleaning up after those little devils. In addition to all the socialization work that you want to do on them. But it was still fun. It was still fun to raise them. All right. Yeah, the cats will revolt. All right, have fun, Voodoo King. It was nice having you here. Check back in later for more streaming of people shipping things. All right, so let's go and make this. I'm gonna grab and I'm gonna mix a color. I'm gonna make grab a little bit of orange brown with my walnut, and I'm gonna actually add my Assyrian sand to that. I'm gonna get a much warmer brown, a much less gray color. It'll make a great tooth color. That's what it looks like. So some of this, some of that, and some of that. And sometimes just like mess around with this stuff. Orange plus a dark brown plus a yellow white is going to give you a brown. It's going to give you a brownish gray, which is a great root for horns and stuff like that. So if you look at like that and you're like, oh, I don't like that as much, I want it to be a little warmer, and decide to paint a little bit of that color over the top, and then I can go and hit the teeths. This is our first layer of highlight on teeth. He's gonna look like he has very bad dentistry, but we'll make it a little lighter in a little bit. Right now, you just want to get these to pop out, and you want them to stand out so that you can see them. So do leave that dark line around them. Do get the back sides. We won't highlight the back sides because they're on the inside of the mouth and would be darker, but we will paint them. And if you keep very little paint on your brush, you'll be able to do that. Hey, Francis, thanks for the resub. Yeah. I have been involved with the breed for a while, Ify. Yeah, Kiri, well, yeah. I mean, I've had, actually most of my dogs visited the factory at one point or another. But Kiri was the one who hung out of my office for the last couple of years after my divorce. She really, after Leo passed, she was really sad about being at home alone. So I brought her to work. Much to Dave's happiness, because Dave loves dogs. So giving Dave an extra dog to pet is never a bad idea. But Kiri was the kind of dark girl. She had a lot of black over her body, and she had the cute face with the lighter muzzle. And she was a short hair. I've also brought Blazy, who was Kiri's daughter, who is a light gray color. She's very pretty. And Leo, big floofball, he actually got to come as well from time to time. But taking the pups to work was just great socialization for them. Wyvern dentist, that's right. But yeah, I have been involved with the breed for quite a while now. Probably 2007? So 14, is that already 14? Dang, 14 years. Okay, so I'm going to grab our straight up Osirian sand, and we're going to add a highlight to this. We're going to leave a little bit of our previous color down in the roots. But we're going to bring up this highlight to make the teeth more shiny. But yeah, I really believe in the breed. It's a rare breed, so it's not... Really, if you don't have good breeders in a good organization, pretty much the breed dies, since it's not, recognized by a great organization and the gene pool is small. So a lot of my energy over the last 14 years has been to preserve the Shilohs and to try to help bring them healthier into the future. As I just want to see the breed still be existing, It's very different from, it's similar to other herding breeds, but it's much lower key in general. It's just a very unique dog. Bring in our Osirian sand here. Yes, Astra. That's correct, Pendrake. Astra is Jared's service dog. She's a seizure alert dog. She trained herself to do it, too. Which is Shiloh's, pretty much. It's part of why I love the breed is they're just very empathic, very attentive to the owner. A little bit too attentive if you don't want a dog that sticks to you like Velcro. But they make really good alert dogs. One of our breeders was working with them for diabetic alert dogs. Her husband is a type 1. And there Shiloh started alerting to his attacks, his blood sugar. With, again, no prompting. These dogs are just really, really smart. So they're very good at that. Here we go. There's a nice horn. Now I lost a little bit of the darker foundation for it. So if I want that... Astra, correct. Greek for star. All my starting puppies had Greek names because of the kennel name that we bred under was Sparta. Sparta Shilohs. Because our first Shiloh was Leonidas. King Leonidas the Great of Sparta. Yeah, since Shilohs don't breed for color, like we consider color the least important thing, our whites tend not to be the pure white like a Samoyed. you have to breed for that color. You have to make it a priority, and we would rather make other stuff a priority. So that means that a lot of our white dogs are actually blonde dogs. Like they'll have Astra has apricot coloring. I think it's really pretty, but yeah. So Kiri and Leo was daughter. Astra was white. So I can bring that brown back in here, guys, if I think I want it a little dirtier there at the horn. And I could even do kind of a half and half mix if I want to blend that in and just paint it over that demarcation line. Yeah, exactly, Valendar, right? Animals are like that. Like, animals that are really in tune with you can do amazing things. Without even you, like, teaching them a thing. Of course, that goes both ways, right? Is they can learn bad habits from you when you're not trying to teach them. Because snow, that's funny. Shilohs tend to be like that, too, because there's, the mixture of dogs that went into them includes Malamute bloods, so back at the beginning of the breed. So we always joke that that's the Malamute coming out when they refuse to come inside when there's snow on the ground. There are a lot of golden retrievers here where I am. Seems like anytime I see anybody with a big dog, it's like a golden. Many golden puppies. Makes me wonder if there's if there's a good breeder around, because usually in Denton it was huskies. Like I was always seeing these beautiful huskies and I found out there was a breeder around. Which is funny in Texas. You would not think huskies would be like a breed that you would want in Texas, but I saw a lot of them. There we go. Got some nice white teeth. They're the golden. There are a couple that are the cream colored. Those are just variations on the, yeah. The red, gold, and cream are variations on a single gene. Some breeders call it the eye locus or intensity gene. So it's just, a variation. Similar to humans, actually, it's the same gene that causes the gold in golden retrievers, the yellow in yellow labs, and blonde hair in humans, if you didn't know. And just like that, just like the dogs, you know, we can have a reddish blonde, the strawberry blonde, or we can have golden blonde, or we can have really, really pale platinum blonde. Genetics is cool. All right, so there we've got pretty good. Now I need to bring up this color, though, to make it match more the color on the other side. I also need to add some highlights over here. I need to do these horns. Let's do that. There could be a rescue, but I see a lot of puppies, Pendrake, so still might be a rescue. You never know. One of them is danger prone, the spoiled golden that I keep helping her owners. Princess dog, total princess dog. Very high maintenance. Swallowed another toy the other day. Had to go to the vet while they dragged it out of her. It'll never have the same genetic signature, but you could try to restructure it. If it's totally lost, Francis, then Valendar is right. You'd never get that same mixture of genes back. It would be different, because the dogs you would be using to construct it would be different. So like right now, Shiloh Shepherds, even though people like to call them GSD mixes, are actually their own breed. If you sequence your Shiloh through, say, Embark or UC Davis, it'll come back as a Shiloh. It won't come back as a German Shepherd mix, even though 40 years ago, German Shepherds were used to create the breed. And the reason is that over time and breeding, some genes are added, some genes lose out, and you end up with a genetic signature. For a breed, like a certain number of loci and genetic groupings, STR, and haplotypes that are unique to the breed. Now, some breeds have kind of crossover, right? So this is why when you have a mixed breed dog and you send its DNA into Embark, maybe you get a weird answer, like way off base. And the reason is that some of those ID clusters that they're working with, there might be one that's in common between, say, Beagles and Chihuahuas. And so if you have a couple of those in common between Beagles and Chihuahuas, maybe your Beagle mix will come up as a Chihuahua mix, like if those are in its mixture, right? So there's a lot. Dog is what it comes down to, and a lot of them share a lot of the same, genes, even the ones that we use to identify individuals and breeds. But each breed does have its own distinct signature, where if you have a certain number of these genes, you come off, you're a husky, right? Yeah, and also the individuals that you start with are going to be very different, right? Because there's a certain amount of diversity across an entire breed. And so if you start with individual X, Y, and Z from collies, say, to breed your own strain of a breed that's a herding breed, and then somebody else starts with dog A, B, and C from collies, those collies are going to have differences. So you're going to get a different mix. Even if you followed the same breeding pattern, like you bred in a greyhound and then you bred in an Irish wolfhound and you bred in a corgi. If you followed the same steps but with different dogs, you'd end up with very different signatures. So yeah, but mutations also do, you're right. So it's all of that. It's pretty fascinating. My worry is just that people are too hung up on the purebred, and the genes are getting unhealthy. That's what our dog breed is kind of working on right now. Because technically, and actually you asked about that, and that brings up an interesting project. There is a group of veterinarians and breeders who is trying to recreate the Bernese Mountain Dog. They're using like a couple of Bernese as their foundation, but they're otherwise trying to just cross in other breeds that have traits in common that they want and just rebuild the breed. So essentially they're trying to end up with something that looks and acts like a Bernese Mountain Dog, but that was created by mixing a whole bunch of different breeds in addition to some core Bernese. So their genetic signature at the end isn't going to be the same as a Bernese Mountain Dog, even if their dogs eventually end up looking and acting exactly like Bernese. Yeah, Greater Swiss Mountain Dogs are nice too. Yeah, kinda. Although I think that the Bernese people are actually a lot more organized. You need a lot of people to do this sort of thing. Like, you need a lot of dogs because you need a big gene pool. Because if you're going to make it healthy, you need a lot of diversity. So, I don't know about... There's a movement in the Bulldog and Pug communities that people want to go back to, like, the earlier, less pushed-in face and, more kind of natural structure. But I don't know how organized those groups are. They're not my breeds, so I haven't done a lot with them. Whereas the Bernese people actually contacted us to ask if they could use a Shiloh, so I'm very familiar with their program. But yeah, it's like... The purebreds are cool because you know what you're getting and like they're bred to like perform certain functions, but I wish that we could do it with a little less inbreeding. But I'll get off my breeding soapbox. Let's talk about now that I finished the horns on this guy. So what I've been doing. Yeah. Yeah, for sure, Valandar. So what we've been doing is kind of layering, right? We've got that dark walnut at the base, and then we've got that slightly lighter, but still a darker brown, and then I'm bringing it up a little bit lighter here, and then toward the end, we're concentrating on Osirian sand. Interesting note on the Irish Wolfhound, they originally thought that the Irish Wolfhound had been entirely, like, eliminated and reconstructed, but when they, did genetic testing on a bunch of different breeds, they found that they actually did have, genetics still from the ancient breed category. So yeah, it'd be nice. I like Irish Wolfhounds. There was one in our neighborhood. Our best friends had one, Ivan, when we were growing up. He was a really nice dog. Alrighty, we've got all that. I can put a little bit more variation here though. I didn't quite get as good a result on this horn as I wanted, so I'm going to play with that just a little more. I use the upper version of the upper parts of my well palette a lot like a wet palette. I'll make a little mix and add water to it up there. I tend to, David and I were talking about this morning, the difference between the wet and the well palette and how we use them. And he's just like, when it comes down to it, you just hate thick paint. And I'm like, yes, I absolutely hate thick paint. I'd rather just work with it thin on my well. Doing a bit of a wet blend here, and then we'll bring in more detail. Oh, interesting. Yeah, there's some interesting dogs. Yeah, Cannon dog. Right, see, you have land races that you can go back to, right, Otter Mama? That's the nice thing about the Cannon dog, is your genetics are still out there in wild form. Shiloh's, instead, we're just introducing other breeds that have a lot of diversity and then breeding back to Shiloh's while trying to keep a lot of those diverse genes. That's our strategy, because we don't have a land race. And we don't want to go to German Shepherds because at that point, they're just so close. Genetically, they're too close. They don't give us a lot. And they have all the same genetic problems. So we don't want to go there. We might at some point if we lose type, but... There we are. Yeah, your breed is cool. Yeah, and that's because of that land race, right? Valendar and Otter is like, because you've got a wild population that's breeding randomly, you tend to retain more diversity. And when you can pull on that land race for new genes for your selectively bred dogs, you hopefully get the best of both worlds. You can maintain diversity while still breeding for traits that you like being family friendly and easily trainable and, stuff like that. It's fascinating stuff. Animal husbandry in general is fascinating stuff. How humans have, bred their friends down through the ages. All right, let's get this nice strong line, purple line in there. This is coming around. It's getting closer. I think I don't know if I want that quite so purple there, though. I think I like it a little better on this side. I'm going to keep this a little lighter. Bring it dark right here. But I think I'm going to bring it a little lighter overall than the other side, and then I'm going to change the other side. But, hey, our Wyvern is getting a face here. There, a little bit of purple. Oh, yeah, you've mentioned him. Lhasa Apso, huh? In addition to the American Klekai and the Husky. Shilohs are my breed. They're the dogs I was always looking for. My grandma and grandpa, when I was little, they had a dog who was a collie shepherd mix. And that was the mix that they liked for their farm. His name was Mac. And Shilohs look a lot like Max and act a lot like Max. So that's probably why I fell in love with the breed, is they remind me of my grandparents' dog, who I really adored. I loved collies and shepherds when I was a kid, so the mix of them I liked a lot. All right, let's get these a little bit of highlight here along that bottom of that jaw. I think I want it a little bit toned down though. There. So we've got a little bit better. I like that lower jaw a little bit. Sometimes you just love a floofy dog. Oh wow, that's funny. Dachshund Pomeranian. Yeah, because sometimes mixes. We did an outcross to a poodle Wetterhound mix. That was already itself a part of the outcross program in the Netherlands for the Dutch Wetterhound, which is a Dutch water dog, is what it means actually specifically. So they had done this mix and they let us use one of theirs. So essentially it would give us the genes from both breeds. And one of the dogs that's here in the US, so the F1 from that breeding, so half Shiloh, quarter poodle, and a quarter Wetterhound, looks exactly like a flat-coated retriever. Like a purebred. So sometimes your mixes can look totally like other purebred dogs. It is pretty hilarious. Like, The other one, his brother, still has the poodle coat, and he looks just like a Briard. Like, looks like a purebred Briard. The Briard Club in the Netherlands is actually asked to use him for outcrossing because, type-wise, he looks like them. It's really interesting. Yeah, Corgi makes us look like a Corgi cosplaying as the non-Corgi parents. That's really funny. Oh, interesting. Dachshund in miniature collie, yeah. Yeah, good dog, but funny looking. Yeah. Yeah, the short hair is dominant. The long coat is always recessive. Just like in Shiloh's. Although the short coat can be short to varying degrees. That actually, you know what? I can't really speak to that totally, because the short coat of a dachshund is a bit different, I think. So maybe I'm wrong on that, but at least I thought it was dominant. So in other words, you have to breed to it to get it. I thought Fluffy was a recessive gene. Fluffiness. Amusingly, I think that I have seen Embark refer to them as fluffy genes, too. The genes for long hair. Alrighty. So that's coming along really well now. I need to do a little bit more attention on the back of this neck here. Got a lot of just kind of gray stuff back here. So I want to get some more purple. Yeah, that's the problem. Oh, bummer on the epilepsy. That's one of those diseases that goes through all breeds. Some breeds have a little bit more and some breeds have a little bit less, but there are some breeds some disorders that they think like emerged way back when dog was just dog. And so that's why the breeds have them in common. So I'm going to put in a purple shadow. It's already on the other side of the neck, but I'm going to put it in on this side of the neck now. Kind of blend it in. There. Alrighty, and then a little bit of a highlighting through here. And then we can go and get some of our orange into this area. Make it look more like the other side. Alright. I like that a lot on this side. Yeah, Shelties are really good with kids. I grew up with Shelties. My Sheltie was named Fergus. Fergie. And he also was oversized for a Sheltie. Though they didn't realize that at first, you know. He was... You can never tell. As a puppy, it's really hard to tell with some breeds. I bet some breeds you can really tell that you're going to get an oversized dog, but... I'm going to add just touches of this. This is a mixture of Osirian sand and our burnt orange that we used on other parts of the model. We're going to add that in, see that little bit of it, just to make it look more like this belongs on this model. Whenever with animals you can repeat colors across the model, it can help tie things together if you're going with very different colors on like upper and lower side. But yeah, our Fergie was a great dog with kids and babies and everything. And I think he was like 17 inches at the shoulder. He was like over Sheltie breed standard when he was grown up. And that dog was smarter than me. Like, I trained him. We had two dogs. We had a German short-haired pointer, which was always my dad's breed. And then we got Fergie for me because I desperately wanted a collie or a German shepherd, and Dad wouldn't let me have either. So he's like, I'll get you a small one. I won't get you a full-size one. Oh, wow. That's huge. Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like, with Shiloh's, you can't tell. Like, I'm always on... Breeders are always trying to second-guess this, and I'm like, you can't tell, guys. The smallest puppy at 8 weeks could be the biggest dog when he's 3 years. Happened to my litter. Totally happens. But some breeds, I bet you can tell a little bit better. I'm not sure because I've never bred Shelties. But yeah, our Fergie was just a couple inches over the breed standard when he was... I think breed standard for males is 16 inches. Don't remember. I liked him because he was bigger. He was more like a collie, which is what I wanted, so... That's great, Valandar. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't end up afraid of dogs. I know it's easy for kids to end up afraid of dogs. And it helps when kids grow up with dogs, for sure. Your parents are smart. All right, so lightening up this area a little bit to make it match the other side of the jaw where I didn't have this really strong purple color. Just wanted a little bit less. So it'll match. My horn's definitely darker on this side. Let's see if I can fix that a little bit. Aw. It's cool when you grow up with them. But it is also, like, sad when you go away and then they pass. Dogs need to live longer, that's all I'm saying. Just going to mix up a little bit more of my medium brown here, see if I can get this horn to look like the other horn does. Come at it from the other direction this time. That's a little better. Yeah, okay. And we'll just bring in a little bit of these stripies and leave a fair amount of this dark brown. There. Good enough. Good enough. I think I can do a little bit more orange on his throat on this side. Because there is a little bit more on the other side. There we go. That's a little bit better. Yeah, it's quite orange on the other side. I went a little more purple on this side. I actually kind of like it on the new side, so I'm going to take this to orange down just a little on this side. Sometimes you end up liking the second side you do better than the first attempt, and so it's perfectly fair to paint over what you originally had and change it. Yeah, that's a little better. Didn't need much adjust. All right, let's highlight the tongue. Actually, I'm going to do a quick stretch, even though it's a little late, but we'll, I have another 20 minutes or 25 minutes to go, so I'm going to put Wyvern down here, and I'm going to do quick stretches. So stretch break, everybody. Let's see here. Oof. We'll give you a pretty Wyvern to look at anyway. Hey, but we're getting there. Like, his head and neck will be done by the end of this stream, and then we still have some scale work to do here, and I think on the underside of there. But then it's just the hind legs and tail. Like, he should start moving. Wyvern should start moving. They'll just need a little bit of highlight. Like, you can see them there. They'll just need a little bit of highlight. But you should always make them, like, the right color. Just like the backs of the teeth. But I knew I had to take a break now or I was going to forget. fire truck outside. So if you've been sitting for a long time, feel free to stand up and stretch. Yeah, I'm kind of in the mood to have a puppy recently. Like I can't have one yet, but I'm definitely getting in the mood where I'll be excited when we get a puppy again. Though it'll probably be quite a while. All right, now I'm going to go do my floor stretch and then we will resume. Alrighty. Oof. Grab some of your darker brown and get the back of the horns. Make sure that you're painting the correct thing, though. This little horn down here doesn't have a backside. It's only these top ones that do. The other ones are purple. There we go. All right. But yeah, I mean, you always paint the backsides of things. Just make sure that you're actually painting what you think you're painting. Like, if I would have painted that thinking it was the horn underneath, I would have been disappointed because it actually isn't. So, I mean, just like I said, you should always paint the backside of the teeth. It's the same thing. But you just don't highlight the backside of the teeth as much as you highlight the front side of the teeth. Alrighty, let's try to get some bright green and get his eyeballs in. I'm going to need pure white for this. He has tiny eyeballs, so I'm going to paint them white first, and then I'm going to put a bright green in them, probably Naga. I didn't see it. Twisted Oma. I'm going to get some pure white out because it's going to give us the brightest appearance when we put stuff over the top of it. And I did it once, but I'm going to put another layer down, and then I'm going to actually do a green. You want it to really be bright so that will show up. Then we'll make some mouth highlights, tongue highlights. Want to define the bottom lid of there though. Oh, went a little bit too far. Nice, Super Ego. Too many minis. We all have that problem. We all need more time to paint our minis. If dimensional reality would just let us buy little machines that would give us an extra couple hours in the day that we could just paint, that would be awesome. Alright, let's see here. Need a bright green, and usually my go-to here is going to be Naga. I'm going with green here, even though it's not elsewhere on the model, because it's the thing that's going to show up. It's going to show up because we've got all of this red on the model. You could technically also use yellow, but doing yellow on such a tiny little area would mean that it probably didn't really show up as yellow. It can be hard to make it do that, and it might kind of blend in with a lot of the light oranges going on here. You could also go with blue, like a really pale blue, warm blue. But again, then you're getting real closer to the purple. It's not going to be as high contrast. So I'm choosing according to what I think will show up the best on such a tiny eye. There. Rob Partha and Grenadier. Probably a lot of Julie Guthrie in there. Alright. Just mixed a little water into my green so it'll come off the brush a little bit nicer. Yeah, a lot of sandy probably. So even when I put the green over there, it's really hard to see. And that's because it's just so small, even though this is a really bright green. And that's the difficulty with very tiny eyes, is that it's very hard to make them look a color. It's a little more evident in person. You guys are finding it hard to see it. I can actually see it in person. I'm okay with it. Yeah, I think the only I have very little old models anymore. Very few. Just my Griffin and my baby Hydra that I've showed before. Those are my favorite 2 old models. But I don't know if I'll ever paint them, because I just like them as is. I'm going to kind of highlight this lower lid here now. Or at least try to. Try to get it to stand out a little bit more. Now we do need to put some orange highlights on the face over here as well. Need to thin it down just a bit. And I still need to do that mouth highlight. Got 10 minutes. Can we get it all done? Just trying to get a little bit of orange highlight here and there. Bring that face out just a little bit more. Uh-oh, the beepy truck is back. They always beep at me at the end of the stream. Must be the Amazon delivery schedule. Nope, it's FedEx. Blame FedEx for the beepies. Oh, that's too bright, Anne. Went too bright with that. Whenever you're mixing a little bit of white into your color, be aware. That it will be a little stronger. And try to blend in some of this. There we go. Oh no. Yes, very cool, Velander. All the sculptors really like to see what you guys do with their figures, in my experience. I'm going to transfer some of this pink that I used on the Wyvern's mouth. I'm going to put a little bit more white in it. I'm also going to add, because it's kind of taupey, I'm going to add just a little bit of red to it. I want a little bit more vibrant pink. Although I'd be within my rights to not do that, but I tend to like it. Just a little bit pink around the mouth. So I'm going to use just a tiny bit of fire red. One of my favorite reds. Somebody's got road rage, huh, Crowley? There, that'll make it a little rosier. Then I'll drop some more white into it. Might need to actually go and transfer this one to a new well and drop a whole drop of pure white into it. There we go. A couple of drops of water. There, that's pale. That'll give us a good mouth highlight. Rawr, rawr, says Wyvern. So tongues tend to be pebbly, as you will know if you look at your own tongue. So I like to do that. I like to actually try to get a little bit of that texture by using stippling when I highlight. So let's see, make sure we're on camera. So I like to kind of stipple along the edge of the tongue in as small little dots as I can to suggest that texture on the tongue, that rough tongue. And we'll do the other side. And then you can also do a little bit of that down the center of the tongue if you can get your brush in there. Just a little bit of stippling on either side. Rawr. Rawr. And you do want to, if you have any gums showing, you want to highlight those a little bit too. Oh, I forgot some teeth over there. Got to get those. Ah! And I'm going to throw my brush on the floor because that's the kind of day it is. Yeah. But that's okay. We're almost to the end of the stream. Then I can just stick my head into PDFs all afternoon. It's much harder to much harder to throw your brush around when you're just writing PDFs. There we go. Little teeths that I missed the first time. And I think we've got a wyvern face. Wyvern face. Wyvern face. Rawr. Rawr, says the wyvern face. Rawr. Looking pretty cool, wyvern face. He or she is definitely angry. Now we need to get these scales. Once we get all these scales done, then wyvern will have a fantastic front part. Let's back out. Go a little bit. Go a little bit farther away. Turn my palette. Rawr. We are getting there. I mean, wyvern is not a small project, being a dragon. But now at least wyvern has a face. And so now we just need to work on scales here, claws. Just a little bit of highlighting on the underside of the reds down here. Then we need to hit these hind legs because they're all not even fully blocked in yet. And the tail! Yay, wyvern. Yeah, have a good lunch, Shadow Raven. Thanks for sitting in. Alrighty. And I think we've got like 4 minutes left, so I'll just use this time to kind of block in. A little bit of shadows and highlights. We started to paint a bunch of this stuff earlier, but I didn't quite get down here. This is where the hide kind of takes over. So Quindy, has Reaper figured out if we're going back to fulfillment stream or if what is our show this afternoon? It's that's right. It's our terrain show, right? And then Reaper Live. I will stream a bit on my own channel this afternoon, guys, if you're hanging out and you want to come over and keep me company. That'll be twitch.tv/paintingbig. Probably be working on Templar, but we might work on Knoll because I'm really enjoying Knoll. So I might switch over to Knoll briefly. Depends on what I'm in the mood for. But yeah, so I'll be doing that at around 4 p.m. Central USA time. Just hanging out. And yeah, what we did today is we tackled horns and throat and teeth and tongue and mouth in general. Back to fulfillment. Okay, cool. Roger. Thanks, Quindy. And so yeah, so we talked about that. We did a bunch of highlighting. We did a bunch of kind of lining to bring out our wyvern's face. We talked about eye color and when you have tiny eyes, how hard it is to get a color to read. So you definitely want to choose a color that is vibrant as you can make it, and that really stands out against whatever color your model is. Yeah, that's what we did today. We tomorrow, for our Friday, we will be back to our half-orc wizard, who's getting really quite, done. I want to finish up that freehand on the back of her cape. Where we did the top part and we made it look like embers and glowing, kind of magical. I want to finish up the bottom part. And then probably we'll work on, depending on what we feel like, we might finish the glass here or the crystal, or I might work on some silver on the front. That's what we're going to do. So yeah, thanks everybody. This has been me, Anne. And I hope you will enjoy the rest of your Reaper programming for the day. And I will be back again tomorrow morning. Thank you all for showing up and keeping me company. As always, it's been a blast. And I hope you liked the wyvern. All right. I'm going to turn this over to Quindy Go watch box packing. See y'all later. Adios.